Mark, thanks very much. I'm joined by National Economic Council Director Gene Sperling. He's at the White House right now to talk about today's jobs numbers as well as the budget battle. Gene, thanks for the time. Good to see you. And let me ask you about this report. 192,000 jobs added. Mark mentioned the unemployment rate, 8.9%. Is that still unacceptably high?
There is no question we still have a long way to go to make up for the losses that took place in this historic recession. But this is unequivocally a positive step. We saw 222,000 jobs created in the private sector. That's over $1.5 trillion over the last 12 months. We didn't see, it took a year longer than that to see that type of job growth after the last recession. So we know there are a lot of families still struggling with joblessness, gas prices, but I think everyone should see this as a very positive step forward.
Gene, is this a self-sustaining recovery right now?
I think there are a lot of good signs. We have to watch everything, but look at the ISM Manufacturing Index. You see new orders were at 68. That's very promising. And again, I think the momentum in the private sector, 222,000 private sector job growth, I think those are good signs. Of course, we're going to be watching everything going forward. But again, you have to look at what direction you're going in, and this is a very positive step. Look at manufacturing, for example, Peter. It's up 189,000 jobs over the last 12 months. That hasn't happened in nearly 15 years. So there is some good news, definite good news in this report.
But, Gene, you're still not seeing the kind of job creation needed to really put a major dent in the unemployment rate, to get it back to the 5% level that so many people have talked about. That's still going to take years, is it not?
Look, we have a longer way to go, and Peter, we both know that it's always tough after you've had a financial meltdown because there's still a lot of leverage and debt in the economy. So it can take it can take longer to get back to the unemployment rate you want. That happens in any country after you've had this type of financial crisis. But we also know that we are seeing job growth that is very strong, or at 222,000, and we have seen progress that is ahead of what almost every private forecaster was projecting in terms of jobs and unemployment rate. So again, you have to see this as a very positive step forward today.
Now, Gene, let me ask you about those commodity prices you talked about, the unrest in the Middle East. A lot of people, a lot of Americans seeing real pain at the pump when they go to fill their car. What would it take for this administration to decide to tap the Strategic Petroleum Reserve? Are you at that point yet?
So let me make 2 points, first of all, which is there's no question that the higher gas prices are a strain on American families. We understand that. But one thing I do want to remind people that was in December, the president had the foresight to push through a payroll tax cut that's worth $1,000 to the typical family making $50,000. That means they're getting an extra $80 in their paycheck every month because of the bill the president signed. That is well more than any family is dealing with in terms of higher gas prices. So I think that tax cut has proven to be especially valuable.
But there's still a lot of those Americans who'd like to see the SPR tapped.
Well, we've made very clear that we believe that the global system has the capacity and the reserves to deal with the supply disruption we've seen so far. And we will stand ready when it is appropriate to utilize the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. But we think that is premature at this moment. But we will obviously, there are significant reserves within the global system that, as we've said before, are more than capable of dealing with the degree of supply disruption we've seen so far.
Gene, let me ask you about the budget. Your latest offer, you outlined it yesterday, an additional $6.5 billion in cuts offered by this president. Automatically, we heard from Republicans, unacceptable. Are you guys going to be able to reach a deal over the next 2 weeks?
Look, what's important is that we work together to try to find common ground. The tax cut that we passed when we worked in a bipartisan way in December has proven very important to this economy in terms of the 100% expensing, the payroll tax cut. It's made a real difference in the job growth and the economy we're seeing. We have to take that same spirit to working on the budget. The Majority Leader, Harry Reid, put forward a very strong proposal today. As with what we've discussed, it goes halfway from the President's initial request to where the House Republicans are. So we've moved halfway from the President's request to where the House Republicans are. And we've made very clear that we should be sitting down and working on finding common ground on even additional spending cuts that are consistent with sound deficit reduction, but protect the important investments in the future in education, research, innovation that are critical to us winning the economic future.
All right, Gene Sperling is the director of the National Economic Council, joining us from the White House. Gene, as always, appreciate it. We will be checking back with you, I'm sure. And Mark, I'll send it back to you in New York now. Obviously, still no budget deal to report here in Washington.